Hi there, welcome to the Ecofina Financial Channel. My name is Philip, and as usual, I'll take you through one major event in the global economy. Remember, click the subscribe button and set up the notification so that you can receive regular updates from this channel. What we do, we try to provide economic insights on various events happening in the global economy and then share our thoughts as usual. So today the topic is Nigeria towing Evergrande's path by racking up debts. Last week, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari presented the 2022 budget, and of course, is at a record high of 16.39 trillion naira. If you take that in dollars, that's around $39.96 billion. Um, that's of course about 13%. That's a 13% increase from the expenditure budget for last year. For 2021, where it was 14.57 trillion. That's taking into account the approved supplementary budget as well. So of course, let's look at some of the details in the 2022 budget, the proposed budget. It assumes an oil price benchmark of $57. It's much higher than the assumption for 2021, where it was $40. But again, it's still much lower than where the current oil prices is, where it's around over $80 at the moment, really. But of course, the government is adopting a conservative approach because of the volatile nature of the global oil market. But they are also assuming that they'll be able to produce about 1.88 million barrels of oil in 2022 as compared to the 1.6 million barrels per day assumption for 2021. So the fiscal deficit, which is uh, what cannot be covered by the revenue the government expects to make, is estimated around 6.26 trillion naira, because the government expects that they'll be able to generate 10.13 trillion naira in revenue, available to fund the budget. It is true that the deficit proposed for 2022 is a bit lower than that of 2021. In 2021, where it's at 6.45 trillion naira. But even then, the expected revenue was still about 8.12 trillion naira. And in 2021, of course, the debt is being financed by domestic and external borrowings, which is what the government has told us is going to be the case again for 2022. So even though it's at 2021 at 6.45 trillion naira and 2022 at 6.26 trillion naira, if you look at it, it still shows that the debts keep growing. Uh, you know, and the challenge really again is that even that deficit, which is stated by the government, is probably unrealistic, and the government is probably just being conservative because the revenue generation capacity of the Nigerian government hasn't been great. If we just take an example, the budget performance of the for July, as at July 2021, shows that the government share of oil revenue was 570.23 billion naira, and that is 51% below the target revenues for that period. What that already shows you is that even the assumption of the 6.45 trillion for 2021 is going to be much higher, and the government will need to, of course, find a solution on how to, increase revenue. In fact, Nigeria really has a serious revenue generation challenge. According to data from the International Monetary Fund (IMF), Nigeria's government revenue as a percentage of GDP was around 7.9% over a 5-year period, 2015 to 2019, which makes Nigeria one of the lowest globally. In fact, it's much lower than the sub-Saharan average of 12.7%, while the global average is at 29.8%. So Nigeria's revenue generation as a percentage of GDP is too low. It's just too low, and it's completely unacceptable. So how will Nigeria finance the deficit? Of course, the government has told us clearly they didn't mince words. It's going to be by borrowing again. And many are concerned that why is the government engaging in new borrowing. The government has tried to assure everyone that it's not going to be business as usual, but it will take more than words to convince anyone because it is easy to borrow. But as long as Nigeria continues to struggle to generate enough revenue, the production capacity and all those things which needs to be done internally to boost infrastructure, to boost production is not being done. It will become a serious issue when it comes to repaying the debt in future. Which is why we compare this scenario to the Evergrande story. Evergrande, again, is one of the biggest property developers in China, but the company is now famous for racking up debts as much as 2% of the Chinese GDP. That's around $305 billion in debt. Now, the company has ambition, and they continue to borrow aggressively to extend their, net into various sectors. But with the with the accumulation of debts comes, a burden, and they were borrowing almost like with no thought that they were going to repay. And now that the time has come for repayment of some of the loans, the company is really struggling. Nobody even knows what the end of it will be because the situation is really has really become there. They've made some bond payments already, and nobody really knows how Evergrande will, pull themselves out without trouble. You might be wondering that Evergrande is a private institution, while Nigeria is a sovereign nation. It is true. But if you look at the fact that Evergrande, continued to aggressively borrow and got themselves into trouble as a result of that, you see why the situation is similar to Nigeria. That even though Nigeria is a sovereign nation, it's only the local debt that Nigeria can print money, to even pay off. The foreign debt has to be something that they have to generate the cash, they have to generate the resources to pay it off. And if your revenue generation is an issue and debts continue to increase, then it becomes a serious issue. So right now, it is unclear really as to what gives Nigeria the confidence that to be able to solve its revenue issues when the way nothing significant really has changed about how the economy is being run. The truth is, ambition backed up by optimism will never be able to repay any debt. Only proper structure, only effective planning on the side of the government to help Nigeria through this difficult period. So yes, it's easy to borrow, but what happens in future? How would Nigeria generate the revenue to pay back to avoid it having a negative impact on the economy? So that's it. You can let us know what you think about the 2022 budget and about the deficits being financed with new borrowings. And let's know your thoughts in the comment section. And we'll be back with you next time. Remember, click the subscribe button so I can receive regular updates from this channel. See you next time.